Hi friends, once again welcome back. Very good evening all of you. So prior to this session on day 4 of crash course for CA intermediate and IPCC auditing, we have completed second chapter. What is our second chapter? Our second chapter is audit, overall audit strategy, audit planning and audit program. Somewhere in bits and pieces, somewhere in the standard, if you see the reference of SCA 300 and the reference of SCA 320 materiality, all these things have come. Okay, so instead of doing chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, shall we jump to standards on auditing, complete 300, 315 and 320, and after that we'll go to third chapter. Third chapter is audit documentation and audit evidence. So shall we thoroughly read and understand the standards and then shall we go back? Are you ready? Okay, so are you able to see the document on the screen? Are you able to see the document on the screen? Can you type in the chat box what is the standard you see on the screen? What is the standard you see on the screen? SCA 300, correct. Okay, do you know what is this document? Trust me, no CA intermediate and IPCC student can get this. Nowhere. You try, you bang your head, you break your head, bang your head onto the wall, you cannot get this. We want this document, sir. Don't worry, I will send this document, and honestly, I am not the person who prepared this document. Okay, this is CA final. This is CA final super quick revision material uploaded in ICI website. But normally, CA intermediate students, why will they go to CA final section and see? The secret is in CA intermediate section itself, whatever are there, you will not see. Correct? In CA intermediate itself, you will not see what is there. In CA final, whatever is there, why will you see? Obviously, you will not see. Okay, so I have downloaded this. This is, I think, a 120 pages document or something like that. So there are professional ethics and all CA final topics. So what I have done is I have edited that. I have cut that from so and so page to so and so page exactly so that relevant standards for CA intermediate people can be given. You understand? So what you need to do after completion of the class or tomorrow, ask me to send this material. I'll send this in the group. Okay, I'll send this material in the group. Shall we see SCA 300? Hello, Chitra madam. Just turn on your mic and say hi, please.
Hi, sir.
Chitra, what is the heading of SCA 300?
Planning and audit of financial statements.
Wow, what a memory. You remember everything?
No, sir, it is there here.
From the screen you said that.
Yes, sir.
If you tell yeah, sir, I remember, I would have asked you what is 315, 320, all these things. But you are a smart girl. Okay. So 300 is planning and audit of financial statements. Did we complete this now? In chapter 2, did we complete audit planning? Hello. Guys, tell me, did we complete audit planning? The answer is yes. Shall we see to what extent we have covered SCA 300? If we have covered that part, we'll put a tick. Tick, audit tick. This is covered. If we have not covered something, we will learn that. Are you with me? If we have covered a topic from SCA 300, one subtopic, we'll put a tick. Ye ho gaya. This is done. If we come across a new para, that we will learn now. Okay. Now, this planning and audit of financial statements is split into 6 parts. In this chart, it is split into 6 parts. One is scope. Second one is objective of the auditor. Third one is involvement of key engagement team members. This 3 not required. This 3 not required. Not examinable also. But small parts. Scope, I am reading it out, not required. The essay deals with auditor's responsibility to plan and audit of financial statements. This essay is framed in the context of recurring audits. Okay. Ye ho gaya. Objective. The objective of the auditor is to plan the audit so that it will be performed in an effective manner. Ye ho gaya. Involvement of key engagement team members. Obviously, who will do planning? Article assistant will not do planning, no? Engagement partner and audit manager senior audit manager, these people will do planning. The engagement partner and other key members of the engagement team shall be involved in planning the audit, including planning and participating in discussion among engagement team members. So planning you have to do, discussion with engagement team members also you have to do. Before you are sending A, B, C, D, E, 5 people you are sending for audit. Before sending them for audit, you need to discuss with them. That is what we call direction. In SCA 200, in SCA 220, direction supervision review is there. Now, what is the meaning of direction? Before the audit starts, at the time of planning or immediately after planning, you identify engagement team, no? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. So all the people will be put in one conference room and the senior partner or the audit manager will brief them. Guys, you are going to conduct audit of Infosys today. These are the important points. So he will educate you. He will give you previous year audit reports, previous year financial statements and relevant risk areas, and then he will educate you. He'll make you understand. That is what they are saying. Then preliminary engagement activities, planning activities, other points to be considered. So now we are coming to planning activities. Chitra, can you read this planning activities, ma? This gray color box for you. Shall I expand it? Wow, what a technology it is. Read it.
The auditor shall establish an overall audit strategy that sets the scope, timing, and direction of the audit and that guides the development of the audit plan.
So, did we discuss this as it is letter by letter, verbatim? Scope, timing, direction will be set by audit strategy that will help as a guidance to develop audit plan. Yes or no? All of you, please respond in chat box. Do you understand this point? Have we seen this point? Okay, go to point number 2.
In establishing the overall audit strategy, the auditor shall...
Wait, do you remember I told you page number 20, para 2.2.2, these are the factors to be considered while establishing or developing overall audit strategy. 5 points I told you, you remember? What are that? Read this A, B, C, D, E, ma. Once read this.
A. Identify characteristics of the engagement that define its scope.
Okay.
B. Ascertain the reporting objectives.
Okay.
D. Consider the factors significant in directing engagement team's efforts. D. Consider the results of preliminary engagement activities. D. Ascertain the resources necessary to perform the engagement.
Correct. This is what we have discussed. Now go to point number 3 and read it, please.
The auditor shall develop an audit plan including description of A. The planned risk assessment procedures as per SA 315. B. The planned further procedures at the assertion level as per SA 330. C. Other planned audit procedures.
Did we discuss these 3 as it is? The auditor shall develop audit plan that includes A. RAP, B. FAP, C. Other audit procedures. And I have told you one more sentence also here. Other audit procedures to complete the audit, to perform the audit as per relevant standards on audit. Guys, do you understand point number 3? Have we seen already point number 3? Can we move further? Yes, very good. Continue. Point number 4.
The auditor shall update or change overall audit strategy or plan as necessary.
Continue.
The auditor shall direct and supervise the engagement team and review their work.
Super. So, do you understand 1 to 5? In 1 to 5, we need to discuss only one thing. Pawan sir, what is a preliminary engagement activity? Pawan sir, oh, hello. We will discuss preliminary engagement activity now. This is preliminary engagement activity. Okay, read this now.
The auditor shall undertake the following activities at the beginning of the current audit engagement. First point, performing procedures required by SA 220. Second point, evaluating compliance with ethical requirements including independence as required by SA 220. Third point, establishing an understanding of the terms of engagement as required by SA 210.
Do you remember yesterday we have discussed the auditor has to look at the criminal history of the directors, money laundering cases, any enforcement directorate cases, resource availability, capability. You remember all these things we have to do, no? And then ethical requirements we have seen IOCPP. If at all there is any threat to any of the ethical requirements, safeguards we have seen, threats to independence we have seen. What are the threats to independence? What are the threats to independence? Hello? Tell me, self-review threat, self-interest threat, advocacy threat, intimidation threat. If at all this kind of threats are familiarity threat, if this kind of threats are there, what to do? That also we have discussed. So do you understand this preliminary engagement activities? Put a star mark. They might ask you, what are the preliminary engagement activities? What are the preliminary engagement activities? This you need to write. Okay. So in this chart, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 we have covered. Shall we go to 6th box? Other important points to be considered. Shall we go to 6th box? First 5 we have completed. Okay. Can you read this, ma?
Other important points to be considered. Documentation. The auditor shall document.
Wait, don't read. You tell me from your memory. 10 minutes back I told you in documentation how many points are there, what are they. Don't read from this box. Don't read from this box. You think and tell me. In your notes also I have mentioned, in our material also, in the typed material cap classes has given to you, in that also we have seen. What is that? 3 points are there. What are they? 1, overall audit strategy is to be documented. 2, audit plan is to be documented. 3, if there are any significant changes made either to the plan or to the strategy, along with the reasons, you need to document it. Isn't it? Khatam. What are the items to be documented with respect to audit planning? You need to write this 3. Okay, next. Continue, ma.
Additional considerations in initial audit engagements. Prior to starting an audit, the auditor shall perform procedures required by SA 220 regarding the acceptance of the client relationship and the specific audit engagement. Second, communicate with the
predecessor auditor. So, acceptance of client relationship we have already seen in SCI 220 yesterday. Then, communicating with the predecessor auditor is one of the requirements as per the professional ethics. There is one Chartered Accountants Act 1949. In that, professional ethics are there. Schedule 1, Schedule 2 bolke. In Schedule 1 again so many parts are there. In Schedule 2 again so many parts are there. Okay. So, in that what they mentioned, if imagine Chitra is the auditor of X Limited. Okay, the firm or the entity is removing Chitra and she is appointing Pavan Kumar to be the auditor. It is called professional courtesy. If this kind of professional courtesy and formality is not there, it is not just a formality, it is a professional ethic code of conduct. I am the new auditor. Chitra is the old auditor. I am the new auditor. I have to call Chitra. I have to write a mail to Chitra stating that, dear Chitra and Company, dear Miss Chitra, partner or proprietor Chitra and Company, Chartered Accountants, Bangalore. From Pavan Kumar, partner or proprietor Pavan Kumar and Company, Hyderabad. Dear ma'am, we came to know that the company X Limited removed you or you retired and then we are proposed to be appointed. In this context, do you have any professional reasons to mention why we should not accept the audit? Hope your fee is received properly. Hope you do not have any professional objections for us to accept the audit. How beautiful this relationship is. And then she will write a reply mail to me. Pavan sir, I have voluntarily moved out of this company, or my 5 years is over, or my tenure is completed. I do not have any strain with the directors. You can happily start your audit. My audit fee is received also. If her audit fee is not received, if there is any friction, I will have to speak with the directors and I should ensure that her fee is paid in, full. Otherwise, that will happen tomorrow to me also, no? How beautiful this professional ethic is. This is there only for chartered accountants. In many other professions, it is not there. So, communicating with the predecessor auditor is also one of the requirements. About this in detail, you will learn in CA Final. In CA Intermediate, it is not there because Chartered Accountants Act is there in CA Final. It is not there in CA Intermediate. Simple. Okay, so if you look at this, Congratulations, we have completed this SA300. How crisp, how beautiful this chart is, and how easy to read, and how effectively we have completed this in the chapter. So, thoda तारीफ ICI का, thoda तारीफ हमारा भी. Okay, guys, are we done? Shall we go to next standard? Shall we go to next standard? Are you ready? Okay, we'll go to 315. Chitra madam, now you tell me what is the heading of 315?
Identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatement through understanding the entity and its environment.
So tell me one thing, what is the meaning of understanding the entity here? What is the meaning of understanding the entity? If I am conducting audit of one entity, step 1, I should understand this for better planning, for conducting audit properly. For example, imagine, personally, I'm telling you, personally, I have conducted audit of banks. Okay, I have conducted audit of liquidation audits. I have conducted investigations. I have conducted due diligence. This valuations I have done. Tax audits I have done. But there are so many assignments which maybe as a professional I have never done. Say for example, audit of oil refinery I have never done. Audit of oil refinery I have never done. Statutory audit of automobile company I have never done. Internal audit, stock audits of automobile companies I have done. Statutory audit of these things I have never done audit of a software company. Big software company. Chota mota software companies roadside I have done. But a listed software company I have not done. Listed public entities I have done. But listed software company audit I have not done. I have not done audit of entities who have many foreign branches. Now imagine, today Infosys calls me and say, Pawan sir, you are a chartered accountant with 15 years of experience. We have seen some of your videos also. It seems you have good understanding about audits, internal controls and all. And do you have COP? I said, yes, I do have COP. Then they asked, will you be? It will not happen, okay. Chumma for nonsense example I am telling, Infosys will not look my YouTube video and call me for audit. Chumma I am telling, just for fun I am telling. So they asked, sir, would you like to be auditor of Infosys? Next second, my mind says, wow, audit remuneration will be in lakhs or crores. I'm very happy. And that will be prestigious project of my life. Having said that, do I have any experience of conducting these audits? Do I understand what is the entity? What is the capital structure of the entity? What is the ownership structure of the entity? What is the management structure of the entity? What is the strategy of the entity? What is the financial performance of entity over a period of time? What is the regulatory requirement? What are stock exchange requirements? So do they have any controller for software companies in India? What is their requirement? What are the accounting policies used in this particular software industry? I do not know. So simple. Standard says 315. Pawan, when you receive a call, don't be greedy. Don't be greedy. Don't go with open mouth. Give me audit and all. Sit and follow 315 first. Then I said, okay, dear ICI, you said I will follow. You tell me what to do now. Then ICI said, dear Pawan, read this box first. Then, dear Pawan, read this box first. So understand these two blue color boxes and then you proceed. For planning, you can accept the audit. After doing 220 procedures, you can accept the audit. But before planning, you should know all these things. So what is this? Entity and its environment. Entity's internal control. 2 points. How many points? How many points? Understanding the entity and its internal control. There are 2 points. 1, understand the entity and its environment. 2, understand the entity's internal controls. 1 is actually easy. 2 is very difficult. 1 is easy. Financial performance of Infosys, dude. Come on, I can open NDDV profit. I can open, value researcher. I can open money control, or I can open Infosys website itself. I can see 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. This is the financial version. Okay, EPS is like this. DPS is like this. Their net assets are like this. Revenue is growing like this. So financial performance and all easily I can understand. Objectives, strategies and all. With management, initial discussion, half an hour if I speak with them, maybe little I understand. Reading their websites, maybe I understand. Accounting policies, they have manual. So I asked them, Pawan sir, what are the accounting policies you follow? They said, Pawan sir, we have a manual, accounting manual. Okay. So this is easy. what are the internal controls in the entity? This is very difficult. So Chitra, read these 2 points, ma.
Entity and its environment. The auditor shall obtain an understanding of relevant industry, regulatory and other external factors, the nature of the entity, the accounting policies including reasons for changes, entities' objectives and strategies, measurement and review of entities' financial performance.
Now, if in the exam they give you, according to SCA 315, identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatements through understanding the entity and its environment, what are the points to be considered by the auditor to get an understanding, to obtain an understanding of the entity and its environment? Can you write this 5 points and can you get 5 marks? Pawan sir, do I need to elaborate them? Do I need to write 4 pages about them? Beta, nothing is required. Just to write this 5 points enough. Relevant answers are important, not the size of the answer. Okay, if you can explain this ABCDE in one sentence, two sentences, you can do. But if it comes one side of A4 page, that is more than enough for getting 4 marks, 5 marks. I'm serious. If it comes one side of A4 page, it is more than enough. But unfortunately, what happens, question will be same. Students will write for planning. The auditor has to understand the environment of the entity, and then you write what is environment, what is entity. Your own, one Gulzar will come out of you and you create poetry. You thought that is poetry, Gulzar's poetry, but actually that is shit. Finally, you will get 0. So, try to remember the relevant points and write them as it is. This is success formula for theory papers. Especially when this kind of beautiful multicolor material ICI has given. Okay, and even if you do not know that this kind of material exists for standards, one faculty is there to make your life simple. I'll give you this document. So, you have to read this 28 pages, dude. 28 pages, all standards, 28 pages. Even if you read 2 pages a day, in 2 weeks you can complete this. So you need to remember and you need to write as it is. No gas, no beating around the bush, crisp, clear, brief answers. This is the secret for getting more marks. Now read second mark.
Entities' internal control. The auditor shall evaluate the design of the controls to determine whether they have been implemented. The auditor shall obtain understanding of the control environment and entities' risk assessment process, the information system and entities' communication process, the control activities relevant to the audit and the major activities used by entity to monitor internal control over financial reporting, the internal audit function and sources of information used in entities' monitoring activities.
Have you read these points anywhere? Guys, can anyone in the chat box, can anyone tell me what are these points? Have you ever read these points? Chitra, have you ever seen this point, ma? These points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Sir, only 4 are there. Huh? There are 5. I will show you. Someone is saying yes, sir. Can you tell me where you have seen this? These are called what? These are called the components of internal control system. There are 5 components. Write down. In your notes, write down. Components of internal controls. Components of internal controls. Write down. Point number 1, control environment. Point number 1, control environment. Point number 2, risk assessment. Point number 1, control environment. Point number 2, risk assessment. Point number 3, control activities. Point number 3, control activities. Point number 4. Point number 3, control activities. Point number 4, information and communication. Point number 4, information and communication. Point number 4, information and communication. Point number 5, monitoring activities. Point number 5, monitoring activities. Point number 5, monitoring activities. Okay, this is a part of 3-dimension framework by Caso. It is called 3-dimension framework by Caso. Okay, these are 5. Now you tell me, did you see this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before? Guys, do you tell me, did you see this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before? In internal control system, have you seen this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before? Yes, very good. At least few people have seen. Very good. That's all. So that is what you need to write here. So this part is over. So now you tell me, what is the meaning of a risk assessment procedure here? Have you heard risk assessment procedure? Now tell me one thing, if I am conducting an audit, if I am, where is crash course? What is this? Unrar zipper. I don't know what it is. Okay, see, if I am conducting audit without, if I accept audit without risk assessment, can you tell me what will happen? Without risk assessment, what will happen? Chitra, if I accept audit without any risk assessment, or if I conduct audit without any risk assessment, can you tell me what will happen?
In future, we will be in trouble.
In future, we'll be in trouble. Excellent answer. How? So we'll perform poor and ineffective audit, wherein people may tell, Pavan, you have not done ineffective audit, you are a person with super smart brain, you have done fraud. Isn't it? So if I say I have done audit, people will say no. So because of this poor and ineffective audit, what will happen, it will happen in increased audit risk, correct? If the audit risk increases, there is more probability that I will give inappropriate opinion. When I give inappropriate opinion, what will happen, it will amount to professional misconduct, professional negligence, and the matter will go to ICAI and the matter will go to court. Court will catch the collar of this auditor and throw in jail. Simple. So step 1, first understand the risk. Now the question is, Chitra, tell me, how can I understand risk of this audit assignment, ma? So Chitra is appointed or proposed to be appointed by X Limited as a statutory auditor. So X Limited appointed you as the statutory auditor of the company. How will you assess the risk of conducting audit of X Limited? Any idea, guys? Anyone? Can you just contribute some points? How can I assess the risk? Can we check the previous auditor's report? Yes, you can happily check the previous auditor's report. Okay, then anything else? So you have checked the previous audit report. Is that all, or will you do something else? Guys, please tell me, when you start thinking, then you will understand subject in a better way. Even if your answer is wrong, let me know. Understanding the entity and its nature. Okay, then continue. More. Through reading bank statements. Ashwant is saying through reading bank statements. Tim is saying discussion with management. Excellent. Correct answer. Discussion with management. Word with management about frauds and any other major issues. Correct. Correct. First you need to do discussion with management, inquiring. It could be management, it could be, staff, it could be board of directors, it could be those charged with governance, it could be experts inside or outside the company. You should inquire. Meet the management. Inquiry. Take the word of the people, whoever is involved, in company's financial statements or in company's operations. Legal team. So you can go and speak with the legal team internally. If in-house legal team is there, go to the lawyer and ask, boss, I am proposed to be the auditor. So can you tell me what are the cases pending? He will tell you. You can ask him, give it in writing also. What are the cases? Can you just give it in writing? Because he is staff, no? If he is outsider, then maybe probably he may say, hey, that is, none of my business to give it to you, get lost. Possible. But if he is insider, inside legal department is there, he has to tell. So there are certain risk assessment procedures clearly given. What are that, First one is inquiries of management and others within the entity. This is one. Inquiring management and others within the entity. Who are the others? Staff, board of directors, those charged with governance. Okay, in some countries you will speak with bankers also. You will ask the bankers, sir, are they paying EMIs properly? In India it is rare. You can speak with the predecessor auditor, which is not available here. So all these things you will do. You will speak with internal auditors. Then that is one. Okay, one is meeting the management and inquiry. Two is analytical reviews. Ratio analysis. You will calculate various ratios. Nowadays, even in basic Excel sheet also you can do. There are so many softwares, okay. You will put the financial statements of entity into one Excel or into one simple audit program. And then you will ask, computer to calculate the ratios. All the ratios, all the trends, all the relationships will be given. Last year, simple. I'll give you a simple example. Last year, average payment period to creditors is 32 days. Current year, average payment period to creditors is 44 days. Red light, risk. The company is not paying the creditors properly. Last year, average cash balance is 1,50,000. This year, average cash balance is 12,500. Risk. Why average cash balance is falling? There could be genuine reasons also. Last year, average salary to employees is 87,500. This year, average salary should be more than 87,500 if you are a healthy company. But if you are unhealthy company, 70,000. Why average salary is falling? Why raw material, holding period is increasing? Why inventory turnover ratio is increasing? Why gross profit margin is decreasing? Why occupancy ratio is decreasing? Why the gross profit is very heavy and net profit is coming down? So this is second area. So what is the first area? Inquiries of management and others within the entity. Second one is analytical procedures. Third one is observation and inspection. Observe the operations. Get the relevant documents and read, like memorandum of association, articles of association, then board resolutions, shareholder resolutions, legal documents, communication with stakeholders, all these things. Get the papers, inspect and observe what is happening in the company. That's all. Then B, the auditor shall consider whether the information obtained from auditor's client acceptance or continuous process or information from other engagement or previous audits is relevant in identifying risk of material misstatement. So whenever you are conducting any procedure, you need to keep one thing in mind. Is it increasing ROMM? ROMM means what? Hello, ROMM means what? Inherent risk and control risk. Is it increasing? Inherent risk and control risk. Then 3, the audit team to discuss the susceptibility of the entity's financial statements. What is the meaning of susceptibility? In audit risk, you will come across this. In audit risk is the susceptibility of entity's financial statements to material misstatement. That is risk. And the application of applicable FRF. What is FRF? Hello? What is FRF? Financial Reporting Framework. Financial Reporting Framework means accounting standards, legal requirements, then Schedule 3 proformas, all these things. Okay, so is there any risk? Audit risk. This para 3 is audit risk. That's all. These are called risk assessment procedures. So if they ask you what are the risk assessment procedures, you need to write 1. What are the risk assessment procedures and related activities? You need to write ABC. Hello, are you understanding? Risk assessment procedures means A. About risk assessment procedures in next chapter, details will be there. In our book also, it is explained in 1-2 pages. Okay, so Chitra, can you read identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatement? This gray color box ma, put a star mark, all of you.
The auditor shall identify and assess ROMM at
ROMM means risk of material misstatement.
financial statement level and assertion level for classes of transactions and account balances.
Correct. Continue.
The auditor shall identify risk throughout the process of obtaining understanding of the entity, assess the identified risk and evaluate whether they have pervasive effect, relate the identified assertions to what can go wrong at the assertion level, consider the likelihood of the misstatement and its magnitude.
So put the heading in your notes. SCA 315, under that identifying and assessing the ROMM. Identifying and assessing the ROMM. Identifying and assessing the ROMM. Copy this box. Copy this box. All of you copy this box and then say you are done. Then we'll move further. All of you please copy this box. 1, 2, 3, 4. Financial statement level, assertion level. Then the auditor shall 1, 2, 3, 4. Copy this in your notes. Okay, so very good. Once you are done with copying this 1, 2, 3, 4, the next question is student will ask, sir, what is assertions are? So put the heading audit assertions. Already morning, some time back Alfia is also asking, audit assertions. Okay, so put the heading audit assertions. Under that 3 arrow marks down. Audit assertions. Under that 3 arrow marks down. 3 arrow marks down. Audit assertions. Under that 3 arrow marks down. Left side. Transactions and events. Transactions and events. Okay. Second one, write down balances. What are the balances? Account balances, assets and liabilities. Account balances. Third one is disclosure and presentation. Disclosure and presentation. Transactions, events, arrow mark down. One occurrence. Write down 1 occurrence. 2 completeness. 1 occurrence, 2 completeness. 3. Accuracy. 4. Cutoff procedures. Accuracy. 4. Cutoff. 5. Classification. 5. Classification. Next, come to account balances. 1. Existence. 2. Rights and obligations. 1. Existence. 2. Rights and obligations. 3. Completeness. 4. Valuation. 3. Completeness and 4. Valuation. Valuation, and you can write valuation and allocation also. Valuation and allocation. Come to disclosure and presentation. 1. Occurrence, comma, rights and obligations. 1. Occurrence, comma, rights and obligations. So that means you are adding both points. Okay, their first point is occurrence, here second point is rights and obligations. Both put together, occurrence, rights and obligations is first point here. 2. Completeness. 3. Classification. 3. Classification. Okay, here you can write down and understandability. Classification and understandability. 4. Accuracy and valuation. 4. Accuracy and valuation. So once you copy this, please let me know, then we'll continue. Once you copy this, please let me know, then we'll continue. Arun is saying copied. What about others? Done, done, done. Very good. Copied, done. Super. Super. Anita Wilson, do you have mic, ma? If you have mic. Bhaginath, do you have mic? Bhaginath?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Bhaginath. How are you?
Fine, sir. Fine.
So, have you seen anything appearing on the board before? Have you read this?
Yes, account balances and acceptance rights and obligations. Yes.
No, this audit assertions bolke, have you ever heard this word audit assertions?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know audit assertions means this? No. Yo, how? Okay, now listen. Audit assertion. Audit assertion. See, basically, what is the meaning of assertion? Assertion is an explicit or implicit statement or information given by management. Assertion is an explicit or implicit statement or information given by management. For example, in the balance sheet of an entity, debtors, 12.5 lakhs is there. Guys, you tell me, what is the meaning of this debtors 12.5 in balance sheet of X Limited? So just try to think what management wants to communicate to you, either directly or indirectly. So Bhagyanath, can I say step 1, management is directly or indirectly telling me that they sell goods on credit?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Obviously, if they do not sell goods on credit, debtor will not be there. Point number 2, management is saying that out of the credit sales during the year, customers worth 12.5 lakhs who bought goods from us on credit have not yet paid on the balance sheet date. Is it the second thing management is communicating me indirectly? Yes. Step 3, they are directly or indirectly communicating that 12.5 lakhs is recoverable and they do not have any uncertainty about the recovery. Because if there is uncertainty about recovery, you have to create a provision or you have to write off bad debt.
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
That's all. So these are the assertions. Now I have a doubt. Whether this 12.5 lakhs of debtors are actually existing on the balance sheet date, or no. I want to check the existence. As an auditor, I want to check the existence. Point number 2, an asset is a right. A liability is an obligation. Right can be legal right, contractual right. Right can be legal right, contractual right. So now you tell me, debtors is an asset or liability? Guys, tell me, debtors is an asset or liability? Debtor is an asset. So it will have right or obligation, you tell me. It will have right or obligation. So what is my right? To collect money from debtor is my right. To collect money from debtor is my right. Now I am the auditor. Entity is saying I have legal right to collect. I will ask the entity, prove it. So how can it be proved? Verify invoices. Verify debtors ledger. Verify goods register. Verify external confirmation from debtors. So all these things will give me satisfaction about the right. So then I will go and say, okay, right is also there. Now I'll open debtors schedule. I'll open credit sales register. So from credit sales register, whoever has not paid, whether it is coming into debtors schedule or no. So this is Mr. A, 10,000, Messrs. X Limited, 25,000. Like this, there are so many debtors and the total here must be 12,50,000, no? That is the reason we call it sundry debtors. It is not one debtor. It is so many debtors put together. That is what we call sundry debtor. What do you think sundry debtor is? Debtor means one person. All the debtors on the balance sheet date put together is called sundry debtors. Sundry debtors is like, assorted dish you ask, no, I need assorted pakoda. So these are assorted. So all the kind of debtors put together will come as sundry debtor. So this 12,50,000, is it complete or in reality it is 14 but company is writing 12.5, or in reality it is 11 but company is writing 12.5? Is it complete or is there any omission? Is it complete or is there any omission? I have a doubt. How that can be verified? Credit sales dekho, debtor schedule dekho, arithmetically verify everything, all the key debtors, you get external confirmations, then you are like, okay, all the debtors are included, so I am happy about completeness. Then comes the valuation. Valuation and allocation is measurement. Valuation and allocation is measurement. If it is property, plant and equipment, historical cost minus accumulated depreciation. That is the valuation rule. For debtors, what is the valuation rule? For debtors, what is the valuation rule? Gross amount minus any provision created or allowance created for unrecoverable amount. Whether this 12.5 lakhs is correct from valuation point of view or no, then I will put a tick here. Now I have verified an account balance. You understand? Alfia, you understand this, ma?
Yes, sir.
So this is about account balance. Now you take any asset, any liability. You take any asset, any liability. Say for example, Alfia B here, you have a bank loan 10 lakhs. Or you are the auditor, your client has bank loan 10 lakhs. Check this 1, 2, 3, 4 and tell me what will you do. So first what you need to verify about this, ma?
Whether this bank loan is actually there or not.
Yes, on the balance sheet date, whether it is existing or not. So how will you decide that? You will get bank statement, loan statement you will get. Correct? External confirmations you will get. Bank manager will give on letterhead that the company has to pay 10 lakhs to me. So take that paper. That is the proof that this balance is existing on the balance sheet date. Two, you tell me, bank loan, is it an asset or a liability?
Liability.
Liability. So liabilities will have rights or obligations.
Obligation.
A liability is a present obligation.
Yes, sir.
Obligation. So how will you establish the right? How will you establish the obligation in this case? You will ask the company to give you sanction letter, loan agreement. You went to IDBI bank and you said, sir, give me loan, sir. That time IDBI manager might have given you a sanction letter. They might have given you loan repayment schedule. They might have entered into a loan agreement. They might have taken security and it could be a secured loan. That security might have been mortgaged and registered also. So you will verify all the legal documents. So you will say, hello, Alfia here, auditor, bring legal documents to prove the obligation. Bring me sanction letter. Bring me loan register. Bring me registration of charges. Bring me the loan repayment schedule. Bring me the loan agreement. I want to verify. So this is step 2. This is how you verify obligation. Now you got a doubt. 3. Completeness. How many loans are there? There can be so many loans. So in the balance sheet, they will not give, IDBI loan, ICICI loan, SBI loan. Like this, they will not give, no. What they do? Sorry, this, it should be written this side, left side. So what they do, in balance sheet, they'll write, non-current liabilities, long-term loans, borrowings. Now you will open the schedule. So for this, there is, say for example, 22 crores. For this 22 crores, there will be one schedule. You will open that schedule. In that schedule, there are 14 types of loans. Now you will ask yourself whether these 14 loans are complete loans, or maybe the company has some more loans but they are not showing it here. That is your question number 3, completeness. Question number 4. When it comes to valuation or allocation, the interest component, the principal repayment component, during the year company paid 2 lakh rupees EMI into 12. So 24 lakhs is paid. But this 24 lakhs should be split into 2 components, no? Principal component, interest component. Interest component should go to P&L as a debit item, finance cost. Principal amount should be reduced from balance sheet item loan. Whether this is done or no, this is valuation and allocation. Alfia, you understand this?
Yes, sir.
If you remember, guys, all of you, I'm telling you, if you remember this box, audit of items of financial statements, vouching and verification is done. Close your eyes, you can write any question, I'm telling you. You can write any question. How do you conduct audit of salaries paid? How do you conduct audit of salaries paid? Now you tell me, salary paid, is it a transaction, is it a balance, or is it disclosure? Guys, you tell me, salaries paid, rent paid, is it a transaction, is it an account balance, or is it, disclosure item? It is a transaction. So your mind should go to part 1 of the table or part 2, part 3. Which part is relevant? For transactions, which part is relevant? Part 1 is relevant. So simple. In part 1, what is there? Occurrence. Whether this transaction has occurred. If it is not occurred, it will be a fictitious transaction. So first point you will write is, the auditor should verify whether the salaries have actually been paid to the working employees of the company. Verify the staff attendance register. Verify the appointment letters. Verify the bank statement. Ensure that there are no fictitious or ghost workers. Ensure that there is no fraud in terms of payment. Point number 1. From occurrence, 5-point scale. Completeness. The auditor should verify whether all the money is paid to employees, whether it is a fringe benefit, whether it is a perquisite, whether it is any allowance, or whether it is any, non-monetary item, whether it is any salary, HRA, etc., whether all of them are properly included. Then 3, accuracy. The auditor has to, on random basis, on sampling basis, the auditor has to verify Form 16A, pay slip of some of the employees, to see whether calculation of basic salary as per the letter of appointment letter will be there, basic will be there, increment letter will be there, increments will be there, and calculation of HRA, city compensatory allowance, pension, ESI, PF, pension will not be there, PF, ESI, whether any other allowances, whether any deductions, whether any tax to be deducted, whether all these things are accurately calculated or no, the auditor has to verify. Cut-off procedures. Cut-off procedure means this is 1/4/2021, this is 31/3/2022. Items which are belonging to these 2 dates only fall, in this particular financial year. April salaries of next year should not fall here. Current year March salaries, even if they are paid in April also, they should be included. This is called cut-off procedures, like what do we call, accrual system. Okay, so one payment is made to which accounting period it belongs to. Identifying that is called cut-off procedure. Classification. If it is normal salary, if it is productive wages, you will put in trading account. If it is normal salaries, you will put in P&L account. If it is capital natured salaries for project or building, you will add it to that project or building only. That is what the auditor has to verify. So guys, these audit assertions, if you understand, trust me, 80% of the questions in vouching, verification, audit of items of financial statements, 6er pe 6er. Every ball 6er, like that you can write. You don't need to read, you don't need to by heart. Understand this concept, remember. By heart this, transactions and events, 5 items. Account balances, 4 items. Disclosure and presentation, 4 items. That's all. Easy thing. Hello, you understand the concept or no? Can we move further? Hello? Okay. So now this you understand. Auditor shall identify the risk of material misstatement at financial statement level. That means in balance sheet, P&L, cash flow level, or assertion level for class of transactions and assertion level for account balances. Oh my God, crystal clear. So risk of material misstatement may be there at financial statement level, or it may be there at one individual transaction level or account balance level also. Okay, Alfie, a simple thing, ma, this presentation and disclosures are there, no? So she's asking, sir, can you please explain disclosure and presentation too with example? Simple, ma, like, say contingent liability. Contingent liabilities have to be disclosed. So as per accounting standard 29, you are disclosing them properly or no. So whether all the contingent liabilities are disclosed or no. So apply same thing to contingent liabilities. Presentation disclosure. Or there are so many items. For example, take one property, plant and equipment. PPE, you have written PPE 2 crores. But in notes to accounts, significant accounting policies, you need to write accounting policy. You need to classify this property, plant and equipment, whether it is held for sale. You know, there is one more standard for that, Ind AS 105, or whether it is held for use. Why are you saying that it is having 4 years economic life? So all these things you need to explain in notes to accounts. These are the vehicles we have. These are the plants we have. So that explanation part in notes to accounts is correct or no, you will verify with this. If you observe, even in your standard auditing also, they used only transaction and account balance, okay? Because they are quantitative. Normally, this third part is there, no? This third part will be qualitative. So in real audit, you come across this, but normally as a student, you come across only first two. That is the reason even in standard also, they have emphasized assertion level for class of transactions and account balances. But I do not want to teach you half. That is the reason I taught everything. Classification can be current, non-current, whether the asset is a current asset or non-current asset. Okay, that kind of classifications also, that kind of disclosures also. So you understand, can we move further? Yes. So guys, we have done this green box. Green box is done. Hello, say yes or no. Green box is done. Risk assessment procedures and related activities. Green box is done or no? Fast. I want your response fast. Yes, very good. Blue box is done. Blue box is done. Understanding the entity and its environment. And identifying, assessing risk of material misstatement. This gray color box is done. This gray color box is done. Okay, then the last one is other important points to be considered. I will not open my mouth also, just to read that. Okay, Chitra, can you read this red color boxes, ma?
Significant risk. The auditor shall obtain an understanding of the entity's control and control activities relevant to the significant risk.
Control and control activities means you have to verify internal control system of significant risk items. See, for example, you are conducting audit of a bank. One huge loan is there. 100 crore rupees loan is there. So about that 100 crore rupees of loan, what are the controls the bank has, you will verify. So you will take risky item. About that risky item, you will verify internal control systems. That is point number 1. Next.
Risk for which substantive procedures alone do not provide sufficient appropriate audit evidence.
So there are, do you remember there are tests of controls and substantive procedures? Do you remember there are tests of controls and substantive procedure means, actually speaking, vouching verification. Substantive procedure means vouching verification. In many audit situations, just vouching verification will not be enough. You need to check the controls also. When you are checking the controls, see, simple, you are conducting audit of Reliance Trend or Reliance Fresh, Big Bazaar kind of entities, okay? How many transactions will verify? You are conducting audit of State Bank of India. State Bank of India is having 1 crore accounts. 1 crore savings accounts. How interest is credited every month? 1 crore into 12 months. 12 crore transactions, can you verify? No. So what you need to verify, you know, whether this bank has a proper control to calculate interest on savings account. That you will verify. So this one, if you verify, all the 12 crore transactions are verified. You will do randomly the 12 crore transactions also. But what you do here is tests of controls, you will do more. You understand? Tests of controls, you will do more. That is what the second box is. Risk for which substantive procedures alone do not provide sufficient appropriate audit evidence. When you are conducting State Bank of India audit, verifying interest payment will not give you any satisfaction. You need to verify the tests of controls. Control existing on payment of interest, you need to verify. Then read the third one.
Revision of risk assessment. The auditor's assessment of risk ROMM at the assertion level may change during the course of audit as additional audit evidence is obtained. In such case, the auditor shall revise the assessment and modify the further planned audit procedures accordingly.
Continue.
Documentation. Auditor shall document the discussion among the engagement team, key elements of the understanding obtained, identified and assessed ROMM, the risks identified at the related control.
So these are the things to be documented in the file. That's all. So this 315 is also done. Shall we go to next standard? Hello. What is next standard? Materiality and performance materiality. Materiality while planning and performing the audit. Okay, this one is your homework. But sir, in 320 there is one point which we cannot understand, sir. You have to teach that, sir, please, sir. You tell me what is the point which you do not understand in the standard, then I'll explain that. By mistake, I have spelled it also already. Just now, 1 minute back or 10 seconds back, I told you. Normally, people understand what is materiality, all this stuff. Okay? This is basic accounting concept. People do not understand performance materiality. There is some para called performance materiality. People do not understand that. So, determining, see this one, determining materiality involves exercise of professional judgment. Percentage is often applied on benchmark. Benchmarks are PBT, revenue, gross profit, total expenses. Anything which is 10% of PBT is material. Anything which is 1% of revenue or more is material. Anything which is 10% of gross profit is material. So, like this, benchmarks will be there. This everybody understands. But what people do not understand is this para. All remaining is LKG. But from LKG topic, all of a sudden this will be something you feel like CA inter or CA final topic. So all of you put the heading SCA 320 and copy this performance materiality. I'll give an example for that. After that, I'll give you a remaining homework. You want me to explain this or this also you will do homework? Hello, this is homework or should I explain? Sir, homework, sir, I'll be happy. Tell me, homework or now we'll discuss. Tell me in the chat box. If you can handle that, happily do that. Okay. If 20 students say please in the chat box or more than 20 students say please in the chat box, then only I'll discuss. I'll count now. Let me see. How many please will be there? 1, 2, 3. Even if one student is not giving please also, I will explain. I took money, no. How innocent students you are. Sir, you don't know our true color, sir. We are pretending to be innocent. This please is just buttering. But if you do not explain, we will come to your house, catch your collar, sir. Right now, copy this performance materiality. Once you have copied, let me know. Once you have copied in the box, write down copied. After that, I'll explain this. If you need detailed explanation of what is materiality and all, already I have made a video in YouTube. You can watch that. If you can understand it, very good. If you do not understand, if you want Pawan sir, this also I want Pawan sir. We are doing a crash course now. Normal course I teach 120 to 130 hours. Crash course 48 hours. So there will be difference now. But still in crash course also I am trying to give you complete thing. Copied? Okay. Now, Ayyappa, do you have mic, ma?
Yes, sir.
Aha. Ayyappa, where are you from?
Tirupati, sir.
You are from Tirupati.
Yes, sir.
Super. Holy place.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Ayyappa, tell me one thing. You want to purchase a triple bedroom flat.
Okay, sir.
Your budget is 50 lakhs.
Okay, sir.
I am a broker.
Okay, sir.
You called me.
Okay.
And then you are asking, hello, broker. I said, yes, sir. Then you said, I want to purchase a triple bedroom flat. I said, okay, sir. In which location? You said, I want to purchase in Tirupati. Okay, sir. Then I asked, sir, what is your budget, sir? What will you tell to me? Tell me.
I will tell my budget low, sir.
How much you will tell?
15 lakhs, sir.
50.
Yeah.
So you will tell 50 is your budget.
Yes, sir.
Think and tell me. Think for 5-10 seconds and tell me. Your actual budget is 50 lakhs. Will you tell it to broker?
No, I will not tell you, sir. I will tell 40 lakhs.
Alfie is saying 40 lakhs. Guys, tell me, if your actual budget is 50, how much you tell? All of you, just give me your random answers. I want you to understand the concept. So participate. Random answer. Anita is saying 45. Krishnamadri is saying 35, 35, 30, 35, 40, 37. Very good. Good answers are coming. Now, question number 2, 42. Question number 2. You want to purchase, a saree for, some festival for yourself or for your sister, mother. For someone, you want to purchase a nice saree. Your budget is actually 10,000. You went to a very nice shop. He asked, sir, what you want, sir? You said, I want Kanchi Pattu saree. In your mind, 10,000 budget is there. He asked, sir, what is your budget, sir? How much you will tell?
4,000, sir.
Chitra is saying 15,000. No, you will tell less. Why will you tell more? End will bargain. Aha, Raja. Just to see sarees. Anita is saying we'll tell 15 to 20,000 just to see sarees. Wow. The craze of, women for this sarees, jewelry and all. Actually, jokes apart, if you tell 10,000, they'll start showing from 20,000. So normally the mind says maybe ladies will tell more, but if you are a gent, your mind says we want saree in 5,000 rupees. Okay. Now question number 3. Ayyappa, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Your materiality level is 1 lakh. That means anything above 1 lakh is material for you. You are speaking with the client. You are speaking with your articled assistant. You are speaking with any person. How much of the materiality level you will tell them? Will you tell them that anything above 1 lakh is material for me, or will you tell any other number? How much you will tell them?
50,000, sir.
50,000 you will tell them. Guys, you tell me. Lokesh is saying 50,000. What about others? How much of materiality you tell? Guys, I want answer from everyone. Okay. Alfie is saying 70. Joseph is saying 80. Vandana is saying 80. Bhagyanath 80. Jashwant 80, 40, 80, 80, 60, 65. All of a sudden, so many numbers are 75, 60. Step 1, you calculate materiality. Step 2, performance materiality you keep in between 50 to 90%. Pawan sir, is it written anywhere in the standard? No. In my practical experience, I am telling you. In my practical experience. So this basically performance materiality, you tell me, will be lower than materiality or higher than materiality? Performance materiality will be lower than materiality or higher than materiality? Always it will be lower than materiality. So first we fix materiality level. Then we calculate 50 to 90% and we say this is our materiality level to outsiders. So that the probability of aggregate of uncorrected, undetected misstatements will be less than materiality level. That means you are keeping a cushion, you are keeping a buffer. So step 1, calculate materiality level. Step 1, calculate materiality level. How will you calculate? Say for example, profit before tax is equal to 1 crore. Profit before tax how much? 1 crore. So you are following 10% of PBT is my materiality level. 10% of PBT is my materiality level. So you will say 10 lakhs. Or if you can say 5% is my materiality level, it will be 5 lakhs. So this is materiality level. Materiality level will be applied as a percentage on benchmark. So what can be benchmark? Sales can be benchmark. Expenses can be benchmark. PBT can be benchmark. Assets can be benchmark. Some companies will take PAT also, profits after tax also. Okay, so normally if it is on sales, you apply 1%. If it is on expenses, you can apply 2% to 5%. If it is PBT, you apply 5 to 10%. If it is assets, you apply 1%. Some companies will follow 0.5 only. So this percentage is nowhere defined. Benchmark is nowhere defined. So it is your judgment, auditor judgment. All this is our practical exposure, what we have done in audits and all. Okay, I have done IFRS from EY, so I have the exposure to look at the things how EY does. Okay, and outside Ernst & Young also I have done so many assignments, so I am telling you this. So do you understand? Step 1 we calculate materiality level. Hello, step 1 we calculate materiality level. You understand it? Step 2, keep performance materiality at a level lower than materiality level on overall financial statement level. So overall financial statement level, your materiality is 10 lakhs here. So now you apply performance materiality is equal to somewhere 60% to 90% you can fix. If you are aggressive auditor, you will go to 90%. If you are very conservative auditor, you will go to 60% only. So I will say my performance materiality is equal to 6 lakhs only. So I keep my mind on 6 lakhs. Actually, anything that is above 10 lakhs is material. For the company, anything above 10 lakhs is material. But I am keeping anything above 6 lakhs is material for me. So that, Pawan sir, what is the intention? Because from 6 lakhs to 10 lakhs, I want to keep a cushion so that even if I have some uncorrected, undetected misstatements also. 2 lakh rupees uncorrected, undetected misstatements are there. If I keep 6 lakhs in my mind, even then the mistake will be 8 lakhs only. So even if there are uncorrected, undetected misstatements are there also, still my audit risk is lower than what I can accept. You understand? That is it. No one can give you a better example than this for performance materiality, I am telling you. So now read performance materiality. Performance materiality means the amount set by the auditor at less than materiality for financial statements as a whole. Why? To reduce to appropriately lower level probability that the aggregate of uncorrected, undetected misstatement exceeds materiality for financial statements as a whole. That's all. Uncorrected, undetected misstatements does not exceed. Here, does not exceed materiality. Seems to be a printing mistake. Here, The uncorrected, undetected misstatements does not exceed materiality level. That's all. Why will you do something which exceeds? Hello, are we done? Understood. Super. So are we done for the day? Ta-dan, 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 ta-dan. Okay. Chalo, then see you in the next class. When is our next class? Our next class will be, hello, our next class will be on next Sunday. Okay. Chalo guys, take care. Bye.